Chapter 1. A Difficult Childhood in Milwaukee. In the cold winters of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on February 9, 1954, Christopher Paul Gardner was born into a world of hardship. His mother, Betty Jean Gardner, was a strong woman who worked hard as a schoolteacher, but life was not easy. Chris's biological father, Thomas Turner, was absent from the start, leaving Betty to raise her children alone at first. Chris had an older sister named Ophelia, and later, two younger half-sisters, Sharon and Kim, from his mother's marriage to Freddie Triplett. Freddie was a cruel stepfather. He drank too much and often became violent, beating the children and their mother. Chris remembered hiding in fear during those angry outbursts. "No man will ever raise another man's children," Freddie would shout, denying Chris his true last name and forcing him to use Triplett for a time. The abuse was so bad that Betty once tried to burn down the house in desperation, leading to her arrest and imprisonment. During those times, Chris and his siblings were sent to foster homes, where they faced more uncertainty. Despite the pain, Chris found inspiration in his mother's words. "Son, you can do or be anything you want to do or be." She encouraged him to read books and dream big. Chris also admired his Uncle Henry, a Navy veteran who told stories of adventure at sea. These tales planted a seed in young Chris's mind, a way out of poverty through service and determination. By high school, Chris was smart but restless, playing trumpet in the band and excelling in sports. He graduated, but with no money for college, he looked to the military for his future. Chapter 2. Joining the Navy and New Horizons. At 18, Chris enlisted in the United States Navy, following his uncle's footsteps. It was 1974, and the Vietnam War was winding down, but Chris saw it as an opportunity to learn skills and see the world. Stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, he trained as a corpsman, assisting doctors and learning basic medicine. His dedication caught the eye of superiors, and soon he was assigned to the Naval Medical Center in San Francisco. There, Chris worked under heart surgeon Dr. Robert Ellis at the University of California Medical Center and Veterans Administration Hospital. He assisted in clinical research, handling lab work, and even helping with surgeries. "This is my chance to become a doctor," Chris thought, inspired by the white coats and the life-saving work around him. He married his college sweetheart, Sherry Dyson, in 1977, a beautiful and ambitious woman studying to be an educational expert. They dreamed of a stable life together. But the Navy pay was low, and after 4 years of honorable service, Chris was discharged in 1978. He stayed in San Francisco, taking a job as a research lab assistant for Dr. Ellis at $7,500 a year, barely enough to live on in the expensive city. Sherry supported him, but tensions grew as Chris questioned if medicine was his path. "Doctors make good money," people said, but Chris saw specialists earning far more in other fields. Chapter 3. Family Life and Early Struggles. In 1981, Chris's life changed forever with the birth of his son, Christopher Jarrett Gardner, Jr. But the child was not with Sherry. Chris had an affair with a dental student named Jackie, leading to a painful separation from his wife. Jackie initially took the baby, but 4 months later, she returned him to Chris, saying, "You can have him." Now a single father at 27, Chris was determined to provide for his son, whom he called Junior. He quit the low-paying lab job and took a position selling medical equipment, including portable bone density scanners imported from Italy. These machines cost $10,000 each, and Chris earned a commission on sales. He pounded the pavement, visiting hospitals and doctors' offices in San Francisco, demonstrating the scanner's ability to detect osteoporosis early. "This could save lives," he'd pitch enthusiastically. But sales were slow. Doctors preferred established brands, and competition was fierce. Money troubles mounted. Chris and Junior lived in a small apartment in the Tenderloin district, a rough neighborhood filled with noise and danger. Bills piled up: rent, daycare, food. Chris's marriage to Sherry ended in divorce in 1986, but they remained friends. To make ends meet, he took odd jobs, like painting houses or driving taxis on weekends. Junior, with his bright eyes and curly hair, became Chris's motivation. "I won't let you grow up like I did," Chris promised, tucking him in at night. Chapter 4: The Spark of Ambition. One fateful day in 1982, while struggling with parking tickets and debts, Chris spotted a red Ferrari 308 in a parking lot. The driver, a well-dressed man named Bob Bridges, stepped out looking prosperous. Boldly, Chris approached. "What do you do for a living?" Bob replied. "I'm a stockbroker at Dean Witter Reynolds." He explained the job, buying and selling stocks for clients, earning commissions. "Top brokers make $80,000 a month," Bob added. Chris was hooked. No college degree required, just hustle and smarts. He researched brokerage firms and learned about Dean Witter's internship program. 6 months unpaid, competing with 20 others for one spot. Chris applied relentlessly, calling managers daily. Finally, he landed an interview, but disaster struck. He was arrested for unpaid parking tickets and spent 10 days in jail. Released just hours before the interview, he showed up in paint-stained clothes from a side job. "I'm honest about my situation," he told the panel. Impressed by his grit, they accepted him into the program in 1982. Chapter 5: Descent into Homelessness. The internship was grueling, cold calling 200 potential clients a day, studying for licensing exams at night. But with no salary, Chris couldn't pay rent. Evicted from their apartment, he and Junior became homeless. For nearly a year, they slept wherever they could: Glide Memorial Church shelter, subway stations, even public bathrooms at the Bay Area Rapid Transit (BART) system. Chris carried Junior on his back, along with the heavy scanner for side sales. They'd line up for meals at soup kitchens, Chris skipping his portion so Junior could eat. "Where's home, Daddy?" Junior would ask innocently. "Home is us together," Chris replied, fighting back tears. One night, locked in a BART bathroom, Chris held his sleeping son and vowed, "This won't break us." He sold blood plasma for $25 a pint to buy diapers and food. Parking tickets accumulated into warrants, adding to the stress. Despite the chaos, Chris excelled at work, hiding his plight with a clean, though worn, suit and a positive attitude. He ran from the office to pick up Junior from daycare, then raced to shelters before they closed at 5 p.m. Chapter 6: Trials during the internship. The competition was fierce. Other interns had degrees from Ivy League schools. Chris had street smarts and determination. He memorized the phone book to make calls faster, closing deals on high-net-worth clients. His mentor, Bob Bridges, taught him the ropes of trading. But life outside was a nightmare. Junior got sick often from the cold, and Chris juggled fatherhood with 18-hour days. Once, he fixed a brokerage machine to impress bosses. Another time, he charmed a potential client during a cab ride with 49ers coach Bill Walsh. Small victories kept him going. As months passed, exhaustion set in. Shoes with holes, no bus fare, Chris walked miles. "Don't quit," he told himself, echoing his mother's words. Junior's innocent questions, "Why can't we have a house like other kids?" fueled his fire. Chapter 7: The Turning Point. On the final day of the internship in 1983, Chris was called into the manager's office. His heart raced. 19 others vied for the job. "Chris, we've decided to hire you," the manager said. Overwhelmed, Chris wept in the street, then hugged Junior. "We did it, buddy." Starting as a broker, Chris earned $1,000 a month initially, enough for a small apartment. He rose quickly, becoming a top producer. In 1987, with $10,000 from selling his last possessions, he founded Gardner Rich & Co., an institutional brokerage firm in Chicago. Specializing in futures and options, it grew to manage millions. Chapter 8. Success, Philanthropy, and Legacy. By the 2000s, Chris was a multimillionaire. He sold his stake in Gardner Rich in 2006 for a fortune and started Chris Gardner International Holdings, with offices in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. He traveled the world as a motivational speaker, sharing his story. In 2006, his memoir The Pursuit of Happiness became a bestseller, inspiring the hit movie starring Will Smith. Chris focused on philanthropy, supporting homeless shelters and education through the Chris Gardner Foundation. He reunited with family, ensuring Junior, now an adult, had opportunities he never did. Reflecting on his journey, Chris said, "The cavalry ain't coming, you got to do this yourself." From Milwaukee's streets to Wall Street's heights, his life proved that with perseverance, hope turns hardship into happiness. Today, at 71, Chris continues inspiring millions, a testament to never giving up.